We'll have a little start with the Roberto Firmino story, if that's okay. Some reports coming out of Spain today linking Real Madrid with a summer move for Roberto Firmino. It's believed that Real president Florentino Perez is actually pushing the interest in Firmino. Now, Real Madrid, a bit of a shambles at the minute, as are Barcelona, to be fair. Definitely not the forces that they once were. And I'm wondering, maybe Florentino Perez, is he looking at Bobby Firmino's time at Liverpool right now and thinking it's not working out for him too well? Look, the conversation around Bobby is a really difficult one. He's one of my favourite players. Actually, he's my favourite player at the club. And yes, we all know that he does a lot of stuff that goes unnoticed, and he works hard and he puts in a shift and he's really important to the press. But outside of yesterday, his goal scoring form hasn't been great, which may lead to these stories being linked in the paper. Does that mean that it's true? Absolutely not. It's just part of a conversation. We've seen every one of our players linked to probably Real Madrid and Barcelona over the last few seasons. Every time the summer comes around, we see Salah, Mane, Firmino linked with these moves. What I'd like to know is where the hell they think they're going to get the money to pay for Roberto Firmino, because he wouldn't be cheap, nor do I think Klopp would want to sell him. Klopp loves Roberto Firmino for obvious reasons. It's easy to see why. A lot of Liverpool fans, myself included, have been a little bit unhappy with his goal return. It should be a bit better, for being honest with ourselves, but I've been somebody who's always said that I think one of our front three will move on next summer. I've, of course, not known which one that could be, and I'm not saying now that it's going to be Roberto Firmino. But if there is genuine interest there from Real Madrid, and I can understand why, because he's a player that links will play well, will drop deep, will get in. You seen yesterday, people talk about his lack of goal scoring knack. He was in the right place at the right time, wasn't he? When Sadio Mane's header was parried, Bobby was right there on the spot to make sure that he knocked it in, and we got the goal. So I don't want Bobby to go anywhere. I'm sure a lot of you guys don't want Bobby to go anywhere, but I know there will be Liverpool fans out there that will think to themselves, if one of the front three has to go, maybe Firmino's the one. I don't know, folks. My job is just to give you guys the stories, and then we have a conversation around it. So look, let's dip into the chat, see how everybody's feeling about Roberto Firmino. I'm delighted he got his goal yesterday, put it that way, and I hope it takes a bit of pressure off him. He looked a bit more confident after he got the goal. I'd personally like to see him start against Midtjylland just to get his confidence back up, maybe grab himself a goal or two. But look, Diogo Jota, Takumi Minamino, they're absolutely knocking on the door, and the manager can't ignore that forever. 150 million, I think he'd go, said John Cutler. If we can get good money, invest it in another superstar, said Imran Khan. Bobby would be great under Zidane, but it would be a loss. Bobby would be great under most managers, to be fair, because Bobby's great. I was intrigued to see how he'd get on in that attacking midfield role yesterday, but it became a little bit disjointed, didn't it? Partly because of Sheffield United and how good and rigid their system was. Conceding that early goal obviously didn't help for us as well, and we'll get into talk about that. I have a section coming up on VAR later on in the stream that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Neil Davey says Jota is already his replacement. You can understand that, mate, yeah. But we'd still need to probably go out there, and if we did move forward on it, I'm not saying that we are, and reinvest that one. I mean, obviously we've been linked to the likes of Jadon Sancho. A lot of Liverpool fans are going to start throwing around names like Haaland, who I'd love. We'd all love Erling Haaland. He's an absolute superstar. But I think he has another season and a half or so in him at Dortmund before he'd consider moves. And then the likes of Real Madrid. And of course, there's going to be Reds wanting Kylian Mbappe as well. But even with just 1 year left on his contract, I always thought that his wages would be a massive stumbling block in any potential deal there. Right, next one up on the transfer gossip is Dayot Upamecano, the player who all of us are hoping that Liverpool go out there and sign in January. We know that there's a €40 million or £40 million release clause that kicks in. I'm not sure if it is pounds or euro. That's why I've used both there. At the end of the season, there's always been talk of Manchester United being linked to Dayot Upamecano as well. But originally it was thought that there's going to be a battle between both of us at the end of the season. Now, obviously with Liverpool needing to reinforce in January, Dayot Upamecano to me seems like the obvious one. But the question is, can we get him out of Leipzig? How can Michael Edwards fashion a way to get that deal done for a reasonable fee? Again, Leipzig might be challenging for the Bundesliga as well, although realistically, will anyone challenge Bayern Munich this season? So nothing's impossible, but I'm very intrigued to see how Michael Edwards could potentially go about this deal. I'd love to know what you guys think on it. To me, he is top of the list of centre-backs that we should be looking at. Obviously, other names being linked are Ozan Kabak, who we'll talk about in a few minutes. Christopher Ayar from Celtic, who, you know, again, I'm only getting up to speed on him, but would be quite far down the list as well. I would suspect if you're going 1, 2, 3, 4 in order of targets. For me, Upamecano has to be top of that list. I'd like us to go out there and show that we're a big club and pay whatever the extra is that they may want on top of what we know will be 40 million. It's going to be interesting. It really is going to be interesting, folks. There's going to be more stories coming out about this. I'm going to try and reach out to the likes of James, Pearce, Yanag, Fjorthoff and others and see if we can get them on for a chat and see if we can perhaps get a bit of information on this. But let me know what you guys think. If you're watching this back later on, love to know your thoughts in the comment section below. What about Varane? 1, Madrid ain't going to let him go. 2, look, Rafael Varane's a good player, but again, I would like to see somebody, the age bracket of Upamecano, 21 years of age, somebody who's already established. I think he's a French international. He's got a few caps, doesn't he, at senior level? Played Champions League football, just ticks all the boxes. The right age bracket for the club as well. There aren't a lot of young lads at that level with a lot of experience. I mean, we've seen when what's his name, Dilly. We've seen when he went to Juventus from Ajax how much he went for, because getting centre backs with experience that young, it doesn't come around very often, and at times you have to pay for these and pay a serious fee. So let's wait and see. The club will do what's best for the club. Klopp will have his targets. We could see somebody that we haven't even spoken about yet. Much with Diogo Jota. Nobody had a sniff about Diogo Jota. We were talking about Ismail Assar. We were talking about Jadon Sancho. We were talking about a few others. But then out of nowhere, Diogo Jota came, and I think a lot of us just shook our heads and went, oh yeah, that makes sense. So maybe we've got somebody like that Kloppo has up his sleeve that we haven't even spoken about. Somebody who hasn't been mentioned in the media. The club have been doing that quite a bit over recent years. Fabinho came in, nobody knew about it. And as I said, Diogo Jota as well. Nobody had a sniff about that one. Right, the next one I want to have a chat around is Ozan Kabak. The Mirror believe Liverpool have opened talks with Schalke over a January move for Ozan Kabak, who joined Schalke from Stuttgart just over a year ago. I'm a little bit confused on this one, and here's why. I don't know much about Ozan Kabak as a player. I'm not going to lie and say that I've watched a lot of him. I have not. But what I can say is, we know Jurgen Klopp puts a lot of faith in people's personality traits. They put a lot of faith in people who are reliable, who have the right characteristics to become a Liverpool player. Ozan Kabak is currently, or was recently, serving a 5-match ban for spitting at another player or spitting at somebody. That to me doesn't strike me as the type of player who Klopp would want to bring into the environment that he's fostered and created in the Liverpool changing room. We've seen him move on numerous players that have brought up a few issues at the club, Sacco being one of them. And it just doesn't strike me as a Klopp type of player. Now again, that could have been something completely out of character for Ozan Kabak. I'm not going to lie, I don't know much about the guy. It just strikes me as, not the right type of personality for Klopp to bring into the Liverpool changing room, from what I have heard and what I've read. Now, that being said, I'm not going to second guess Jurgen Klopp. He knows more about this game than I will ever know. And his scouting system and the scouting system that Liverpool use is absolutely fantastic. So I guess we're just going to have to wait and see on that one. But there was a bit of confusion on this as well, because I believe this story, or one of the stories, originated from RMC Sport in France. I think one of their pundits or commentators had said something like Liverpool had opened negotiations. But then I've seen other people on social media who speak French fluently saying that there was a little bit lost in translation there. They were saying that Liverpool have an interest in Schalke's Ozan Kabak, but I'm not sure if there was actually genuine talk of an opening bid going in or contact being made between the two clubs. This was a move that probably would have been easier before Wagner got sacked by Schalke. Obviously, Klopp's best mate there, or one of his good mates at Schalke, he lost his job, but Klopp still has great contacts, obviously, in the German game. And it's one league, actually, the Bundesliga, where there isn't a shortage of quality centre-backs. There's a lot of good, especially young centre-backs, plying their trade over there in Germany. So Klopp will have an in-depth knowledge of the German football scene. So, again, if I'm betting on a centre-back, I think the Bundesliga could well be where we're looking at.